And so this is the story I call Keep Your Chin Up. I think it's just a wonderful story. It's one of those stories where when you hear it once and then you sort of hear a reference around it again, like it just sticks, it resonates. So, the struggle is real, the depression is real. A lot of wonderfully talented people in business struggling all the time, and I'm not immune to it either. And so I want to tell you guys, if you're going through a challenge, whether it's a financial challenge or just work challenges, right? How do I get that client? How do I deal with this employee issue? I want to just encourage you, keep your chin up. In this journey, whenever I talk to folks, whenever I'm mentoring somebody, coaching someone, or frankly just being a friend, there's a story I tell all the time. So what is the Keep Your Chin Up story? Let me tell you. Here's how the story goes. There's two POWs in a prisoner camp. Think like, World War I or World War II style stuff here. They're in this POW camp, so they decide they're going to make a pact to stand by each other. They really kind of have like a brotherhood bond, like they realize there's got to be a friendship, there's got to be hope, there's got to be somebody they can trust and rely on in this POW camp. So they vow to never leave each other and to always support each other, and they're optimistic that they're going to make it out of this POW camp. But man, it's really hard, as you can imagine. It's cold, it's dirty, it's there's people that are sick and hurting, and there's really not a lot of reason to have any hope, and they're not being fed well, and they're prisoners, and so they're being treated awful in all kinds of bad conditions. And one day there's this big fight in the yard or whatever, and these two POWs get kind of split up and broken up, and for whatever reason, one of the guards sort of singles one of these guys out and blames the situation on him, and so the punishment is to put him in sort of solitary confinement for an indefinite amount of time. Now they both know, these POWs, they both know how big and bad of a deal this is. Like, this is basically a death sentence, because once you go into this next level of the POW camp, like it's really bad. You don't ever come out, and most of the folks that go into it die. And so this is a really big deal. And so they're trying to, so they get broken up, and the one guy that's, we'll call him free in the yard, and the other guy that's going into isolation, they get separated. And so the one guy has this big challenge, because he's got a connection and a bond with this guy, and he knows he needs to help. There's not really any way he can help him. So, hang on just a second. So, let me go ahead and tell you more here. So the one guy's in the isolation, and the other one says, I've got to help him, and he thinks on it, and he starts to negotiate with other prisoners. And over the course of about a month, he trades with other prisoners and skills, until finally he becomes a barber. And his goal to be a barber was because once a month the barber can go in where the solitary guys are, and he can cut their hair, but he can't speak to them. And so, you know, he spent this month trading his way into being the barber. And he walks in finally, and there's his friend, and he looks horrible. And his friend knows the deal that he can't talk to anybody. The guards are there, and this guy walks in after a month. And you know, his first thought is to hug him, to tell him it's gonna be okay. But he knows he can't do that because he's just gonna get in a ton of trouble. And so, oh, excuse me. And so, he walks in, he looks at him. Tears fill their eyes as they see each other again. And he pulls out the shears and he starts cutting his hair. And they're just sitting there in silence. And while he's doing it, the barber says, "Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up." How awesome is that? The story always shakes me up because sometimes that really is all we need. Is somebody to be there when we think nobody else will be, to encourage us, to tell us to keep our chin up. So keep your chin up. Because keeping your chin up is the hard part. Because it's so easy to get down on yourself and decide that you can't do this. People don't understand you. This isn't gonna work. That guy's never gonna pay. This is never gonna make sense, whatever. But resilience and perseverance is a big part of our success. So if you've got that place where you're falling down or you need help, be encouraged and keep your chin up.
Access granted.
Hey, how's it going?